Hello, I'm Dr. Bill DeHerter, and I'm going to be sharing some communication insights. This video builds on the KUMC Writing Center's video on general to specific structure to consider how thinking in terms of levels of abstraction might help you communicate clearly and read efficiently. In that other video, I mentioned that general ideas were more abstract, while more specific ideas were more concrete. Thinking in terms of levels of abstraction can help you more effectively organize your reading and writing. It's a powerful idea that can help you find ways to communicate with those outside your realm of expertise. The concept of levels of abstraction considers reality to exist on a continuum, from concrete to abstract. For the purposes of this video, let's consider reality to mean what we read or write. Abstract elements represent topics with broad brushstrokes. They are general, perhaps working as a summation that could be applied in other contexts. You might think of abstract communication elements as reaching further across time and space. They may be applicable in other moments or places. While practical knowledge is often understood as ways of knowing and doing that can shape the physical world, theoretical knowledge is understood as ways of knowing and doing that shape interpretations of the world. In that sense, we are all theorists to some extent, and abstract communication elements take on the role of conveying these more theoretical interpretations. In contrast, concrete communication elements work like small brushstrokes, delivering details and examples that pertain to a particular context, that is to say, a particular place and time. They have a shorter reach across time and space, and they are less applicable in other contexts. A few examples might help explain how levels of abstraction can shape language. If you perform an internet search for abstraction ladder, there are a lot of examples out there. The images usually depict concreteness as at the bottom of the ladder, with abstractness increasing the further up the ladder the reader travels. In this example, the lowest level of the abstraction ladder consists of a technical scientific description that is ultimately meaningless. As we journey further up the abstraction ladder, meaning emerges as abstraction increases to inform our theoretical interpretation. At the lowest step of the ladder, there is a mass of atoms. At the second step of the ladder, the image of a particular cow is recognized. At the third step of the ladder, this particular cow is represented by the name Bessie. At step 4, Bessie is abstracted to the word cow. At the fifth step, the word cow is abstracted to the word livestock. At the sixth step, the word livestock is abstracted to the term farm assets. At the seventh step, this term is abstracted to the single word asset. And finally, at the top step, the particular cow perceived at the bottom of the ladder is represented with the word wealth. This highly abstract term can be applied in many different situations, and its more theoretical perspective can deeply shape the meaning, value, and use of Bessie. Here's another example. Here at the bottom of the ladder is a particular model of a gun. This term becomes more abstract as the reader climbs the ladder, from rifle to weapon to instrument of war to material. This final abstract term, again, tells us a lot about what the particular gun at the bottom means. As an instrument or a material, it is assumed to be an apolitical, unbiased tool. The M16A2 rifle transcends its context through the term material, which abstracts the rifle as a resource that can be stored or deployed like many other resources, such as infantry, tanks, or ships. Finally, there's this example. What begins with a detailed work complaint about last week is abstracted into a statement about treatment over the course of the project, followed by a more abstract statement about overall working conditions. As statements become more abstract, they reach further across time and space, further outside the particular context of the single event that occurred the previous week. Now that we've explored the concept of levels of abstraction, I'd like to explore some ways in which it can help you organize information for yourself and others. One place abstraction is key is in the genre of the peer-reviewed article. An article's text may be anywhere from 3 to 10,000 words, while an abstract summarizing the information in the full article usually is about 250 to 500 words. The title of the article abstracts these concepts even further, representing them in a long title consisting of a few words and a short title consisting of a few characters. Representing information strategically in abstract ways is an essential skill for publication, communicating with non-experts, and finding success on the job market. As an exercise, you might pause this video here and think about a writing project you worked on recently. How do you think you would represent the project in 3 to 10,000 words, the same length as an article? What about 500 words, the length of an abstract? How would you represent these same ideas in one sentence so that you could explain them in a job interview or fit them into an article title? Thinking in terms of levels of abstraction can assist in skilled reading. Because abstract elements are broadly more applicable in other contexts, they are often the elements that are more useful to future research projects. Much of my coursework in grad school was spent learning to skim over concrete details and take notes on abstract ideas. At times it felt like finding a thread that would come to the surface, dive into the complicated weave of the page, and then resurface. Finding these threads when they appeared helped me make sense of what I was reading, providing me with something manageable to organize that I could constructively deploy in other writing situations. Levels of abstraction can also assist in organizing your writing. More abstract statements can compose the beginnings and ends of introductions or conclusions, titles, topic sentences of paragraphs, and transitions between sections, chapters, or paragraphs. These are the moments in the piece when the writer comes up for air, away from the details, to tell the reader why something is important, what broader implications an idea may have, and how those ideas relate to other ideas or contexts. Concrete writing elements typically compose details where the writer provides evidence, perhaps quoting or paraphrasing another work. These are the moments where language is often denser and more technical, where the writer digs into the details to prove their claims. I think the most powerful moment for me as a graduate student occurred in my last 2 weeks, when I had to prepare a presentation for my dissertation defense. For those of you who don't know, the first part of a dissertation defense is open to the public. Anyone who might be interested in your topic might come, and after years of becoming an expert and diving further and further into the details of my area and writing a 200-page dissertation on my topic, I had to craft a presentation that stepped away from the details, that represented my work in about 15 minutes, in such a way that someone not as familiar with my topic could understand and ask questions. That skill of being able to make your knowledge accurate but more abstract is critical for making use of your degree. It can pay off when speaking to potential employers, to students, or patients. Up until that very last moment, your entire journey in grad school is a quest to know more and get further buried in the details, the concrete. The next challenge is to learn how to make your knowledge abstract, how to express its meaning and importance in broader contexts. As an exercise, you might pause this video and think about how you might explain your latest research project to a fellow student. How might that explanation differ if you were speaking to an undergraduate student, a potential employer, or a patient? There's an explanation of levels of abstraction and how the concept can inform your communication choices. If you have any questions or you would like to learn more, you can visit our website for additional resources and access our appointment scheduler. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.